There's a slogan that started to become popular with Philadelphia Eagles fans, and no whirling winds could keep the Banners from proclaiming this newfound byword. And why not? This Week 15 matchup between the Eagles and Dallas Cowboys would be the biggest game played in the Quaker City in nearly 20 years. Win this one, said Coach Dick Vermeil, and the NFC East crown would become property of the Eagles, no matter what else happened the rest of the way. Having already beaten the Cowboys once this year, that idea no longer seems strange to the first-place Eagles. But this situation certainly was an unusual one for the Cowboys of Tom Landry, who needed victory not just for championship prospects, but for playoff hopes as well. Only last week did Dallas finally end a losing streak that saw them tumble from the Eastern top spot. Even with all that, a win over the Birds would put Dallas in a tie for first. What made things even more interesting was that the day after this Saturday game, another divisional rival, the Washington Redskins, would go against the tough but unpredictable Cincinnati Bengals. If both Dallas and the Redskins won these games, the NFC East would go into a three-team first-place tie with just a week to go. The very first series of the Eagle-Dallas game featured the start of what became a recurring theme for the afternoon. A tricky hop, a funny bounce, a play that would straddle the tenuous line between success and failure for both teams. Instead of a third down completion for the Eagles, it was a big interception for the Cowboys and safety Randy Hughes, number 42. It was the first interception an Eagle quarterback had thrown in 3 games. And from another angle, it is apparent that except for an errant bounce and a resourceful Randy Hughes, that string might have extended to 4 games, since no more interceptions were thrown the rest of the day. With the ball now at the Eagles' doorstep, it only took Dallas a few plays to notch the game's first score, a short plunge for fullback Scott Laidlaw, number 35. The Cowboys had scored first, something they had to do to establish themselves, while hopefully quieting down the enthusiastic Veterans Stadium crowd. But the noise resumed on the Eagles' third series as quarterback Ron Jaworski put together Philadelphia's first scoring drive of the day. The key play of the march was a Jaworski completion to number 31 halfback Wilbert Montgomery, who did most of the work on his own en route to a 35-yard pickup. The Eagles were stopped at that point, but did collect a field goal to narrow the Dallas lead to 7-3. The Cowboys then began another drive, and once more the bounces and breaks were in their favor. Two pass completions by quarterback Roger Staubach and hard running from the Dallas backs got the Cowboys inside the Philadelphia 25. On second down, Staubach looked for an open receiver in the end zone. The one he found was not the one he wanted. Number 21, safety John Shira's almost interception turned out to be a critical play in the game. In his first start as a replacement for the injured Bernard Wilson, Shira had hoped to make a big play, but it didn't happen this time. And Dallas was able to get 3 more points from kicker Rafael Septiev. The Cowboys led 10-3 as the first quarter ended, but they would do no more scoring for the rest of the half as the Eagle defense began to make its presence felt. Number 87, defensive end Claude Humphrey, has been in the NFL for 12 years, but has never participated in the playoffs. Because of plays like this sack, Humphrey will finally be there this season. The Eagles stopped Dallas on this drive. The Cowboys ended their next drive themselves. A crazy bounce went in the Eagles' favor this time as Dallas runner Tony Dorsett, number 33, fumbled after picking up a first down. The turnover proved to be double jeopardy for the Cowboys. They lost the ball here and Tony Dorsett for the afternoon as the fleet runner suffered a severe shoulder bruise. The Eagles were quick to take advantage of Dallas's misfortune as Jaworski went deep to number 17, Harold Carmichael. Philadelphia ended the drive with Jaworski going to Montgomery for the score. It was Wilbert's 13th touchdown of the year, the most by any Eagle since Timmy Brown in 1962. The game was now deadlocked at 10 apiece, and it remained that way at halftime. Surely now the Eagle faithful figured their birds would take wing in the second half. What the Eagles actually did was lay a few eggs. Dallas shut Philadelphia out in the third quarter. It went ahead 17-10 on number 44, Robert Newhouse's surprising but effective end run. The key to the play's success was Newhouse himself, who stiff-armed linebacker John Bunting, number 95, the only player who had a legitimate shot at making the tackle. Once Newhouse got past Bunting, the rest was easy. But the celebration would soon end for Newhouse as an injury took him from the game. Now with 2 reserve backs in the lineup, Dallas more than ever needed to make its passing attack work. In the fourth quarter, the Cowboys were knocking at the door again, thanks to their running game. But when a pass was tried, safety John Shira once more came close to picking it off. Shira asked for offensive interference, but didn't get it. As bad as he felt about missing this second chance for an interception, Shira would only feel worse after witnessing what happened next. On a 3rd and 17, Staubach gambled by throwing into a crowd. The gamble paid off as the ball bounced into the friendly hands of Butch Johnson, number 86. A replay shows that Johnson was in the right place at the right time to catch the deflected pass. With 10 minutes to go, the Cowboys had a healthy 24-10 lead over the Eagles. Dallas's defense had kept the Eagles quiet for almost 20 minutes, and if they could do so a bit longer, the Cowboys would be back in first place. But Philadelphia would not disappoint the home crowd. They battled back on their next series, and the ringleader, as usual, was Wilbert Montgomery. Montgomery's 33-yard run after catch put the Eagles inside the Cowboys' 5-yard line. Wilbert then finished the job he started with a vault that cut the lead to 24-17. The Eagle defense got the ball back quickly for one last march. But the Cowboy doomsday defense, maligned for much of the season, rose up to play the kind of football for which it has become famous. Ron Jaworski was able to move the Eagles down to the Dallas 17, but could get no closer as the Dallas defense simply would allow nothing more. Dallas won 24-17 to go into a first-place tie with Philadelphia. The Eagles' hopes of clinching the Eastern title had been dashed by the Cowboy defense and a few crazy bounces. Now both would keep an eye on the Cincinnati-Washington matchup. When that one was over, Philadelphia and Dallas would have to make room at the top of the NFC East for a third contender, the Redskins. Dallas's victory over Philadelphia set the stage for a sunny Sunday of action at RFK Stadium, where head coach Homer Rice's Bengals were in town to take on Washington. If the Redskins could fend off Cincinnati, they'd tie both the Eagles and Cowboys at the top of the NFC Eastern Division. Bengal quarterback Kenny Anderson wasted little time in getting the visitors on track. Tight end Don Bass, number 84, and running back Archie Griffin, number 45, are two reasons why the high-powered Bengal offense has averaged over 21 points a game in 1979. Griffin has rushed for over 600 yards this season, but the Redskins quickly learned that he is a dangerous receiver when leaving the Bengal backfield. During his years at Ohio State, big plays were something the two-time Heisman Trophy winner had grown accustomed to. But as a professional, Griffin has yet to emerge as the star he was expected to be. This fine effort, however, made it 7-0 Cincinnati. The Redskins were quick to answer. Like Griffin, number 44, John Riggins, is a resourceful back, adept in netting tough yardage from a handoff or a swing pass. Steady Joe Theismann, who's completing nearly 60% of his passes this year, moved the Redskins closer. A 28-yard completion to speedster Danny Buggs was the key play in Washington's drive, a drive which tied the game when Riggins scored from 7 yards out. Prior to the game, Riggins needed 95 yards to net 1,000 for the third time in his career. But for the time being, his individual chase was secondary to the Redskin team goal, a playoff berth. In the role of spoiler, Ken Anderson continued to play his part superbly. Anderson moved the Bengals downfield with the tactics that earned him passing titles in 1974 and 1975. Taking what the defense gives you, short passes under zone coverage. Anderson is perhaps one of the most patient quarterbacks in the NFL. And on the 14th play of the Bengals' time-consuming drive, patience paid off. A pass interference call on free safety Mike Murphy, number 29, gave Cincinnati a 1st and goal from the Redskin 1. Number 46, Pete Johnson, Griffin's collegiate Buckeye backfield buddy, put the Bengals on top. The scoring would continue in the second quarter as the Redskins and Riggins sought to tie the game once more. Completion to rookie tight end Don Warren netted 22 yards as Theismann continued to expertly guide Washington downfield. On the drive, Theismann would utilize 4 different Redskin receivers. Joe must have recognized something peculiar about the Bengals secondary, for he sent all of them on routes through Cincinnati's left side. Ike Forte's catch gained 22, and when Theismann withstood the Bengal rush to fire at the last possible instant, the game was deadlocked at 14. clutch catches by number 38 Clarence Harmon have sparked Jack Party's boys all season long. Although the simile may seem trite, Party's players are like bees who labor and toil endlessly, not to build hives, but to perhaps achieve a championship once more. On their next possession, the bees continued their work. Determined Don Warren set the stage once more for Harmon, who would not be denied the go-ahead score. Harmon's 23-yard score concluded a second quarter which saw the Redskins net a pair of unanswered touchdowns and build a 21-14 advantage as they closed in on their 10th victory of 1979 and perhaps some coveted postseason play. Evel Knievel stopped by at halftime dressed in a most peculiar outfit and, due to the price of gas, minus his Harley Davidson. Fortunately, Santa Knievel survived his high-speed mishap, and Washington fans hoped he brought with him the ultimate Christmas present, a fully paid trip to Pasadena and Redskin victory in Super Bowl 14. Despite a bleak season netting only 3 wins, Cincinnati can boast that they beat the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers earlier in the year. A second-half comeback victory over Washington would salvage some more Bengal pride. Despite some early success, Anderson would be tormented by the Redskins' secondary when attempting to score. Number 20, Joe Lavender, emerged as one villain with a last-second deflection in the end zone when Anderson tried to hit Archie Griffin. Lavender's defensive play would be overshadowed, however, for with his receivers covered, Anderson was forced to contend with number 79, Coy Bacon, who pummeled the 30-year-old signal caller throughout the second half. Bacon is an ex-teammate of Anderson and thought that this game was a perfect opportunity to become reacquainted. At the top of the screen, one can see that quickness and agility are still the tools of this 36-year-old veteran. Bacon utilized these tools well enough to sack Anderson 4 times in the game. The score remained 21-14 Redskins following a scoreless third quarter, but Archie Griffin had the Bengals moving midway through the final period. Griffin would finish with a neat 68 yards rushing and 68 yards receiving in a solid performance. A pass to Pat McInally added to an outstanding 278-yard passing day for Anderson. McInally's 24-yard reception got the Bengals closer to tying the game, and Dan Ross's 5th catch of the day took them deeper into Redskin territory. But on a critical 4th-and-1 situation from the Redskin 10, defensive tackle Perry Brooks and linebacker Neil Olkowitz plugged the hole and corralled Big Pete Johnson, halting the Bengal drive. With but 55 seconds remaining and the game in Washington's hands, Riggins closed in on his 1,000-yard season. Unfortunately, number 44 was stopped short of a touchdown and his 1,000-yard goal by 2 yards, but not for long. In nearly a decade of service, Riggins has rushed for over 6,500 yards and has scored over 50 touchdowns. He is one of the most rugged and durable backs in the NFL, and his latest score gave the Redskins a hard-fought 28-14 victory and achieved him yet another personal milestone. For the Bengals, the game is yet another disappointment in a season of disappointments. Surely a team which starts 11 first-round draft choices should be one which contends for divisional championships instead of dwelling in the AFC Central cellar. For Joe Theismann and the Redskins, their story is quite different. Their victory means that they are now tied with Dallas and Philadelphia at 10-5 atop the NFC's Eastern Division. A win over the Cowboys in the season's final game would assure them of at least a tie for the division title and a shot at participating in their second Super Bowl.